Hey guys, how's it going? Happy Tuesday, right? Yeah, I'm like trying to think. I think it's Tuesday. Um, how are you guys doing? I think we've had a couple days to officially digest the Patriots game. I thought about going live yesterday, but we know how that goes. Um, the game was a little bit Um, tricky to say the least in how we feel and um it was just a lot. So let's just get straight into the game. I just want to jump. I feel like there's a lot to talk about. I asked you guys to send me some questions on Twitter, and you guys sent me a lot of questions. There were some that I'm not going to get to today because I'm going to go live again this week to talk about the game on Sunday night, which is another hot topic, for the entirety of this week. So, not going to really, I don't really want to touch on that too much yet, but yeah, so that'll come probably Saturday. I think I'll probably go live again. So let's just go straight into this game. I don't think that any of us were really expecting this game to go the way that it did. I think a lot of people had the Patriots winning, and not just in a biased way. I think it was just, there was a very inconsistent Saints team that was coming in. You kind of weren't sure what you were going to see from them. And then, of course, we know how Jameis Winston is and all of the changes that the Saints have had, especially since Drew Brees left. So that yeah, I just wasn't expecting that. I don't think anyone was. So let's get into this. Jameis Winston was 13 of 21, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kamara didn't have the greatest day on the ground, which I guess is somewhat helpful, but of course it's still Kamara. I mean, like, he still dominated. He had 24 carries for 89 yards, and he also had 3 receptions for 29 yards and a touchdown. And then, of course, they had Taysom Hill, because why wouldn't they use Taysom Hill? He's like a unicorn. He's good at everything. He had 6 carries for 32 yards and a touchdown. And then overall, the Saints had 38 carries, 142 yards, 1 touchdown. The only good thing is they had a 3.7 yard per carry average. So that's not, I mean, it's not great, but it's not bad. The Patriots did a little bit of work there, I guess. And let's just get into the Patriots. I feel like there's so much to say. So let's get into the Patriots. Not an ideal game for Mac Jones. He was 30 of 51, 270 yards, a touchdown, but 3 interceptions. And this is crazy too. He was the rushing leader of the day with 6 carries for 28 yards. Like, that it's not a good day when your quarterback, who is not known to be, he's not a Lamar Jackson. He's not a Cam Newton. He's not scrambling and running around the entirety of the game. So the fact that he was our leading rusher just tells you exactly how this game went. And then Damian Harris came in with 6 carries for 14 yards. Overall, we had 17 carries for 49 yards, so not good. Kendrick Bourne went off, which I remember seeing somebody on Twitter. I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was, but someone said that they felt like Kendrick Bourne was going to have a big day, and he certainly did. He was 6 of 8 receptions for 96 yards and a touchdown, one of which was he ran for 31 yards. Crazy. Jacoby Myers didn't have a bad day either. He was 9 of 14, 94 yards. One was a long of 27. But the big issue, I would say, Hunter Henry wasn't awful, but Jonnu Smith had a rough day. Very rough day, and I think that's putting it lightly. He was 1 of 6 for 4 yards, and I think that we're all going to remember for a while his dropped passes, that some of them were completely catchable, and they just didn't work. And one of them ended up being, I don't remember, was it a pick six, guys, or was it just an interception? Can't remember off the top of my head right this second. But those types of things is always so frustrating to me. Like, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I hate that those types of plays, when it's like clearly on the receiver that they drop the ball, or if, it went through their hands, that it counts as an interception on the quarterback. I feel like that shouldn't count because, I mean, he put it in the right spot at the right time and the receiver just didn't follow through. So it just seems kind of silly for it to count against the quarterback. And not every interception was Mac's fault. But then, of course, we don't want him throwing 50 or 50 times a game. Like, that's not ideal. We don't want him doing that. And he's been throwing a lot so far in these first 3 weeks. Like, I mean, I guess it's good for the people that, complained that Cam wasn't throwing enough and they really wanted to see more in the passing game. Now we have that, but our offense is not coming through for Mac completely. Granted, Mac has things that he needs to work on, of course. He's a rookie, though. So, there's always going to be something that he needs to work on. But yeah, it was really disappointing to see with Jonnu. I think before the game, I predicted, or I was hoping that he was going to be a big piece in the passing game this game, and it just didn't happen. Hunter Henry was there too, 5 receptions for 36 yards, so not horrible, but I think that we had some higher expectations. I mean, for the double tight ends, especially because when's the last time that we had 2 tight ends that were both good at their position? It's been so long. So I think so far through the season, it's not been what we were hoping for or what we predicted that they were going to be. And so I'm hoping that kind of picks up. I'm going to address that when I get to your Twitter questions. But the title of this video was to talk about Matt Judon, and I want to get into that. So, Mac Jones was sacked twice yesterday. The Saints got 6 tackles for a loss and 11 quarterback hits. So that is something that I think that people aren't taking into consideration when you look at Mac and his numbers. Obviously, 3 interceptions are never good, but he is being blitzed and pressured so much that it's bound to happen. Like, it's just you can't expect him to be great when he's not having the time to be to actually think and look at things and see what's going on. I mean, he's a young guy. He has a lot to learn. It's a lot of pressure on a rookie to be starting, especially in a franchise, an organization like the Patriots. We believe that he is going to be the guy for after Brady. So I can't imagine how much pressure he's under. And then having to deal with an O-line that's not really helping you is, I don't know. I feel like it would be kind of stressful, but yeah, Faisal says 1 interception was half on him. Other two were 2-minute offense throws or the wide receiver's fault. And that's why I said I feel like sometimes a lot of people can easily look at a box score and make assumptions based off of that. And that doesn't tell the entire story of a game. That's why I've even said before, and I think, I get criticized for it, but a team's record is not indicative of how they play. Obviously, if you're a team that goes 0-16, it's kind of hard to defend that statement, but just because you lose a game does not mean that you weren't playing well. You just didn't play better than the other team. Like, I don't know if that makes sense or if I'm explaining it correctly, but I wouldn't look at Mac's numbers and just assume that he played horrible, because he didn't play horrible and he hasn't been playing horrible. If you look at him compared to the other rookies that have started, he's certainly playing the best. And so we're very fortunate in that regard. And so let's get into the defense of the Patriots defense. So Matt Judon is just, having his way with the quarterbacks this year. In this game, he had 3 total tackles, 2.5 sacks. He was credited with a half sack with Dietrich Wise. He had 2 tackles for a loss and 3 quarterback hits. Gotcha had a quarterback hit as well, and so did Wise. But this is what is exciting about Matt Judon. I think that a lot of people were really excited about his signing in general. but he's certainly proving that he was worth every penny that they're paying him so far. Um, he has 3.5 sacks on the year of 9 total sacks by the team. So he already has like nearly half of the sacks that the entire team has. He has 9 total tackles, 4 tackles for a loss of the 17 that the entire team has gotten. He has 6 quarterback hits of 18 that the entire team has gotten. So he's doing damage. He's doing exactly what Belichick brought him in for, what this defense needed. And I think it's good to see. We need that, and I'm just hoping that we can get more guys involved. The good thing is too is under Judon, like right below him, Josh Uche has 3 sacks and 3 quarterback hits. And so after that, it gets down to 1 sack. I think it's like Kyle Van Noy and someone else. So it's really good to see that Uche is doing something too, because he's a younger guy. And I think that we had high expectations for him as well. I have been a big fan of his. So it's really good to see he seems to be developing and going in the right direction. I think that, working with a guy like Judon and then having Van Noy back and Hightower back, it's a good combination. Great guys for someone like Uche to learn from. But yeah, it's good to see about Judon. I think that if we can keep on this pace, then the defense is certainly going in the right direction. And as of right now, since we're having so many issues offensively, then the defense is going to need to pick up that slack. So we're going to need Judon to keep doing this, and somehow other guys on the line are going to have to try and pick it up too, because he can't do everything on his own. We can't expect for him to be the sack machine basically and getting them all. I mean, it would be great if he could do that every game, but that's a lot to expect from one guy. Okay, let me see. You guys have some questions. Let's see. Oh, Faisal says N'Keal Van Noy and Winnow can go to Arizona for Kirk and Chandler Jones. I don't think that's happening. I know that Chandler Jones had said before the season began that he wanted a trade, but I think that's changed. He seems to have changed his tune a bit. I mean, he seems to be doing well so far. I mean, he had 5 sacks in the first or second game of the season. And then he was saying that his agent and whoever else are handling like the business side. So I don't know how likely the Cardinals are going to be to trade him. Or how likely the Patriots would be to pick him up. Jamie Collins did just get released by the Lions as well. I wouldn't be surprised if that is a name that we see back in New England. But we'll see, because it's all about the price tag. There's not a whole lot of money left for the Patriots this year. I think Miguel of Pat's Cap has it over 3 million, I want to say. I don't know exact numbers, but I'm pretty sure it's a little over 3. So I would have to look at all those numbers, but yeah, I don't see that happening too much though. So and Raw 94, I'm gonna get to your question about Jonnu when I get to the Twitter questions. The tight ends were certainly a hot topic that people wanted to discuss. So I want to break this down too for the game against the Saints. This is another game that if you looked at the just overall team stats, it's kind of weird. Like, the Patriots did better in a lot of these categories than the Saints. It's another game where you would kind of be scratching your head and being like, how did they lose so badly? So the ones that I thought were the most interesting, the Patriots had 70 total plays compared to the Saints of 62. The Patriots had 300 total yards to the Saints 252. They had an equal number of drives of both 12. The Patriots had 4.3 yards per play versus the Saints 4.1. Our red zone, we only had 1 opportunity in the red zone. And when I say it's the Patriots. The Saints were 3 of 4 in the red zone, which of course we've talked about a little bit on Twitter, at least, that these big moments that we needed a defensive stop is when we're being let down by the defense. So despite a lot of what they're doing that's good, we have these moments where they need to get off the field and they're not making the stops that they need. So that's really disappointing to see, and I'm hoping that they can get better at that. Obviously, they're totally capable. They have the talent to do so. I just don't know where the disconnect is. And the game was very up and down defensively. Like there were moments where it was like, dang, like this defense is clicking. They're doing really good things. And then the next drive, it was like, what happened to that defense? Like, who are these guys that are on the field right now? They're not the same guys that we just saw 5 minutes ago. And that's, maybe it's just a learning curve thing right now. Maybe it's because it's only week 3. There's not the consistency yet, but we'll see. Penalties, not too bad. The Saints had 2 for 15. The Patriots had 4 for 30. And the time of possession was not horrible. The Saints had 32-48. Patriots 27 of 12. So not terrible. I mean, like the Patriots had been doing pretty well about having more time with the time of possession, but the Saints game was weird. So I want to get into all these questions. There was a ton of questions. Okay. So I already saw some people talking about Josh McDaniels. I see Faisal mentioning it already. So I want to get into that first. That seems to be the biggest complaint from this game. I'm going to read all the questions because they're basically all they all are very similar in nature. So Dougie's Going Deep said, what the hell is up with McDaniels play calling? Matthew Jordan said, will Bill Belichick ever realize that Josh McDaniels is not a good offensive coordinator and needs to be let go? AKA Pinecone said, what is Josh's problem? Why does he hate winning and scoring points? Vicariously P said, Mac admitted to changing plays. How much of the play calling is on McDaniels and how much is on Mac making bad reads? So I think that the topic of Josh McDaniels and his job security has been a highly discussed topic for quite a while now. It's really hard to say because I certainly complained about him last year. I felt like he didn't really know how to work with Cam Newton and the type of quarterback that he was, and to use him to his full potential. And so for that to kind of seem like it's coming into this year as well is a little bit odd to me because Mac is definitely more of the type of quarterback that the entirety of the Patriots team are used to. He's more of a passer, and he's comfortable in the pocket, and he's very similar to Brady. I'm not comparing them and saying that he's as talented as Brady. I'm just saying as far as like the way they carry themselves, the way they play the game is very similar. So I don't know if the play calling is maybe a little bit softer because he's a rookie, or I mean, it's really hard to say. If you listen to their press conferences, they say that they're throwing the playbook at Mac, and he's picking things up, and he's a quick learner. That they're not hesitating on anything, because another thing that people wanted was Mac to be throwing more downfield, because a lot of what we were seeing from him were short passes, and we saw more of that this game. And it didn't go great every time, but I can't say that that's fully on him, of course, because the receivers that he was throwing to and whatnot, they were dropping the balls or not catching them, blah, 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 blah. Offensive line wasn't protecting him. So I don't hate McDaniels. I just kind of feel like the play calling is kind of stagnant. Like, I don't really know what needs to be done, if it's something that they need to fire him, or I don't know. I kind of feel like the Patriots aren't going to fire him. I feel like there's some sort of deal with McDaniels to keep him in New England for longer than I'm sure most people want him to be there. It wasn't too many years ago that he backed out of his head coaching job for the Colts. So the fact that he came back to New England, it just makes me feel like there was some sort of deal done there to keep him a lot longer, maybe post Belichick. I don't know, but I definitely think that they need to adjust it, the play calling, I mean. And as far as Vicariously P on Twitter said, Mac having changed plays, um, he seemed to be a little bit regretful of that, but it's hard to say if it was kind of like if he actually felt that way or if it was kind of what he felt like he was supposed to say because the day wasn't successful to him, if that makes any sense. And it's hard to say which plays he changed because there were many instances where we were all shaking our heads like, why are they calling this? And why are they doing this? Why are they running the ball? Blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, until we could maybe definitively know which plays exactly he changed, then it's hard to say anything to critique him because we don't know. Let's Faisal says, is McDaniels the Brady mole, only good with Brady? That's what I'm seeing a lot of people say. They're saying that it seems like McDaniels has never been that great and that Brady somehow was able to just cover up how bad he truly was. I mean, it's possible, I guess. Like he wasn't super great as a head coach when he went to Kansas City. So, it's I don't want to think so like negatively, like I want to believe that they can get better as much as last year was very disappointing and the play calling in general. I don't know. And you know what's else is interesting? It just came to me. I wonder, like, it's hard to say too, right? We don't know how long they were actually planning for Mac to be the starter. I mean, they signed Cam in March, and basically until a week before the season opener, it seemed like they were going with Cam, and that was when they ended up releasing him. So I wonder if most of what they had drawn up was revolved around Cam. I don't know. It just, I mean, I feel like they're a team that doesn't singularly focus on something like that, where there's no, like, it's hard to believe that, they would have had all of this preparation for Cam and nothing for Mac. But it just, I don't know, it just kind of makes you wonder a bit, So let's get into the offensive line because I see some of you already saying this. Patriot X already started. He said, O-line needs to wake up and we need Trent Brown back. Saints defense was fired up to the max, bullying our O-line. Yes. I saw, let's see, what did they say? It was about Cam Jordan. He just completely obliterated the O-line. He had 9 quarterback pressures, 3 quarterback hits, 6 hurries. And Heron was responsible for 1 of the hits and 5 of the hurries. So Cam Jordan was just a complete mismatch. He was talking a lot before he got to the Patriots. He was taking shots at the team, but then also like complimenting Belichick. It was really bizarre. But he showed up and he did what he's done before. So but let's get into these questions. There's so many, you guys, about the offensive line. Remy Vorender said, is Dante Scarnecchia busy? This was another common theme. DJ GOB20 says, can this Patriots O-line hold up against the Bucs defensive front? Which I think I'm going to save that a little bit for when I talk about the game on Sunday. I'll probably do it on Saturday. But as of right now, it's not looking too pretty because the Bucs have a great defensive line. Pool Best 11 says, how do the Patriots fix their 2 biggest issues, O-line and D-line? They are getting killed up front. Obviously, the O-line is the biggest concern. If I'm Mac Jones, I'm scared right now. At Warm in Fuzzy 7 said, what is going on with the O-line? How does it get fixed? And will they ever stop the run in the 4th quarter? So I guess that's a defensive question. But AKA Pinecone said, Trent Brown's importance to this line. Does Scarnecchia have any sons that coach the O-line? And Tucker Ross Khan said, did we underestimate the impact of Joe Thuney leaving? So that is a lot to cover. But I would say let's see. Is Dante Scarnecchia busy? I know that a lot of people have been saying they would hope that he would come out of retirement, but the man is old, guys. Like, he retired And then he came out of retirement to come back for us, and then didn't he retire again and then come back for us? So I don't see it happening this time. But yeah, there needs to be some sort of fix there. I think a lot of it is just where the guys are positionally. Like I didn't even write this down, but some of the guys I feel like are not being put into the best place for what they're capable of. So I think that if they change that around, if they can switch some people around, that would be good. I think Trent Brown is certainly important. He's huge, and I think his absence over the last two games, right, has been felt tremendously, and it seemed like Mac was doing a little bit better when he was around. So Joe Tooney's, I think people need to remember that Tooney left. I think they just didn't want to pay him the amount that he wanted, of course. I mean, he was like the number one guy positionally in free agency. So I think that we did underestimate that. I think that a lot of the time, people think that offensive line is just, you just like rotate guys in, that you can kind of just easily create them. And I don't think that that's necessarily true. But you know, if you listen to Belichick, he basically has said that he hasn't had any issues with how the offensive line has been playing. He even said that about this game on Sunday, that he didn't feel like there was anything really badly going on. And I just am like, I don't really know what he's watching and what we're watching, because I know that Patriots fans can be a little bit dramatic and overreact. And I'm saying that politely by saying a little bit, because if you watch Twitter during a Patriots game, that's all I'm going to say about that. Let's see, what else were people saying? How do we fix it? I think that we just need to kind of like, we need Trent Brown back. And I think that maybe some of the guys need to rotate to different spots. I think that they're just not being utilized. I should have wrote this down. I'll get it down for Saturday for sure. But I think it's one of the biggest concerns right now, because obviously the lack of success on the offensive line is hindering Mac's success as well. And so I feel like because they go hand in hand, it definitely becomes like the biggest issue. And it's just a little odd that Belichick doesn't see it the same way, but you know, let's see. Did I get everything? I think so. Lyndon Flower says LMAO McCorkle was getting hit. The FUQ, because I'm trying to be polite. Coach B, I know. I'm not sure. Like, you know, 99% of the time I'm going to say you go with whatever Belichick says, because obviously he's like a football wizard. Like, he knows far more about football than any of us probably combined. But he's also not one that usually is just going to sit out at like a press conference and just like crap on his team. So it's kind of like not surprising, I guess, that he would say it, but then it's a little alarming at the same time, because it feels like that's been like their biggest issue, other than the consistency of the defense. But yeah, a little bit weird. And then this was the concerns with the tight end. So I'm getting to your question, Raw 94, because you say, is Jonnu a free agent mistake? Some people have said that. So KM Gunder says, what's wrong with Jonnu Smith? Sportsomania says the tight ends are not working out like we thought they would. Nick's Chaos says, also, people maybe shouldn't overreact and call Jonnu a bust. And Roger SC 46043937 said, we heard talk all offseason about the 2 tight end set. Why have they not used that? It looks to me like the tight ends are rotating. And that's what I've seen too. That's what it seems like for sure. I think Jonnu was just having an off game. I think that I don't believe that he is a bust, and I don't believe that that there's anything wrong with him. I think that he looked great in preseason, and I think it was just an off day. Yesterday was just a weird game in general. I feel like the Patriots are just not playing the way that we are used to the Patriots playing. And Jonnu is still, we have to remember, he's still new to the Patriots. So even if he is a veteran, he's still only in his that was his third game on the Patriots. So I feel like we need to cut him a little bit of slack and just like allow him to grow with the offense. We know what he's capable of. We saw some great moments in preseason. So, and then of course, all of the time before he was a Patriot, we know what he's capable of. It is a little bit surprising though to not see as many double tight end sets that we thought we were going to. That was definitely something that I think most of us were excited about and looking forward to because we, like I said earlier, it's been a very long time since we've had two dominant and capable tight ends. So it is bizarre to not see it being utilized. I'm assuming that's probably going to change, and maybe it'll be a game to game thing, and that's why it seems like they're rotating it, not really on the field at the same time. But I think, yeah, I agree with Nick's that it's definitely not. It's way too early to be calling it a bust. And I'm hopeful that the tight ends will get it together. I really do. I think part of it's going to be play calling, like we already said. And then, of course, they're both brand new and they've been banged up a little bit. Maybe they've just been banged up a little bit more than we thought they were. But there has been some glimmer of hope, at least with Hunter Henry. We've seen some really great catches from him. So hopefully that will be something that will just progressively get better as the weeks go on, because we have to remember we're only going into game 4. It seems like we've been watching football forever, but it's literally barely been a month. So just have to remember that. So here's some other random questions that I got. Nothing that I got like double questions of. So a lot of people were talking about, this was from Faisal too. Well, he mentioned this at the end, is why was Harris benched basically and Bolden replaced him? Faisal said, was he injured or was he in the doghouse? And Cab's YouTube channel said, with James White out, will we see more of Stevenson or Bolden? Based off of what we saw yesterday, it looks like we're going to see more of Bolden. I didn't really like what I saw from Bolden yesterday, though. So that worries me a little bit. And we really haven't seen Stevenson since the first game, and he fumbled. So I don't know if he's in the doghouse, if we're being honest, which is a little disappointing. I think that, there were some great moments in preseason with Stevenson, and everyone's been very complimentary of him and comparing him to like Garrett Blount over and over and over again. So it'd be really cool if we could see more of that. And maybe not so much of, the Brandon Bolden trying to get a first down and like trying to back his way into a first down. I don't know what that was about. I think I missed it during the game. I must have like gotten a drink or something. I don't know. I didn't see it. But when I saw that clip last night or this morning, I was just like sitting there shaking my head. Like I have no idea what he was thinking he was doing in that moment. And I don't want to see any more of that, honestly. So if that's what we're going to get, if we have Bolden on, no. I would like to see Stevenson active and participating. I think that he has a lot of potential. With James White out, James White out seems like I'm kind of worried that it's possible I'm hoping it's not the end of his career, guys. We love James White, and I just really don't want him to go out like this, but it seems like a pretty serious injury. I don't know if you guys saw it, but they said he had a subluxated hip. And that they're going to have to do tests and stuff to just make sure there's no fracture in the joint. Because if there is, then that probably will require surgery. And then that, I'm assuming, is just going to end his year, because I mean, how do you quickly recover from like hip joint surgery or whatever? I don't know what it's like to subluxate your hip. I subluxate my shoulders. I got injured when I actually was on a dance team, so my shoulders subluxate, and that is very painful. So if it's anything like that for your hip, then I can't imagine James White is having any fun right now. And it's just really unfortunate, because he seemed to be getting a lot more involved in the offense this year than he was last year. And I was really looking forward to seeing more of that from him, especially because he was the favorite as, in the passing game as well. So I don't know if that's something that maybe they feel more comfortable with going with Bolden over Stevenson. I'm not sure. But it's just very unfortunate. Not that not that you want anyone injured, but certainly seeing someone like James White getting injured is not something you ever want to see, especially after what happened to him and his family last year. So, if you guys have any more questions, please feel free to send them to me now, because that is all I have. I can double check and make sure that I didn't miss any. There's a lot of questions that I feel like I'm going to talk about on Saturday, because so many questions, of course, are coming in about the Patriots Bucks game and all of the emotions that go into that. I I feel like I could probably talk for an hour just about that game and all of the emotions that are coming with it. I mean, we knew that was how it was going to be, but I don't want to get into that game yet. It's only Tuesday, and Boston radio, Boston media, all of that is already going ham on that topic. So kind of trying to avoid it, if we're being honest. Faisal says, no blocking running backs too. Harris can't play the hole. He's injury prone too. We need to bring in, is it Ido or Gurley? Gurley was a guy that I had actually, I think I talked about him preseason. I wrote an article for Full Press Coverage Patriots where I believe I mentioned him. I think I did. Pretty sure I did. As a potential candidate for the Patriots to bring in. I'm kind of surprised that he's still is he not on a team still? Like, that is crazy to me. I guess maybe I understand he's gotten injured a lot, but definitely not a guy that I expected to sit on free agency or be a free agent as long as he has been. I saw someone too. Patriot X said, do you believe that Richard Sherman visiting the Bucks is because they know that Mac Jones will torch the secondary? I think it's possible, but at the same time, I don't know that bringing in a guy like Richard Sherman is necessarily going to greatly impact that. I mean, when is the last time he played a game? It's been a while. He's been injured a lot. He's coming in a few days before the game. Like, I just don't know that he's going to be completely prepared to go on Sunday. Maybe he has. But it might be something that they're just trying to address in general, not necessarily just for the Patriots game. But we'll see. I mean, they brought him in for a workout. Doesn't mean that it's going to go well or that they're going to sign him. I think it's just kind of like a shiny name to be throwing out there right now. And it just is like the perfect time to be bringing him in because of all of the, context behind the Bucks coming to Gillette. So I'm not too worried about it, honestly. So, I mean, it is what it is. Lyndon Flower says, hire Julian as our new offensive coordinator. Josh McDaniels plays are stale. Yeah, I would love if Julian was somehow a part of the coaching staff. I think that he's still kind of young and he probably wants to just be able to, live and do whatever he wants. I mean, he's 34, 35 years old, has a young daughter. And now he's doing the inside the NFL stuff. So, and then he was in a commercial. I don't know if you guys caught that commercial yesterday. I think it was for Truly Seltzers. He was in that commercial. So, he's doing all of this stuff on TV. I don't know that he necessarily wants to be a coach, but I would love to see it. I think he has a great energy. And then, of course, his pep talks and the way that he can motivate a team, I think would be, like a really beneficial thing for the Patriots. But even just a few visits, like if he doesn't want to be a coach, then please come visit, because it was very disappointing, to say the least, that the day that they were honoring him, that the game went the way that it did. Like, why did that have to be the way the game went when Julian's there? I don't know. Raw 94 says, I'm actually shocked Mills hasn't been getting beat. Yeah, I think actually I read something earlier today. Jalen Mills, I think it was from Evan Lazar. He said, oh, did I not? No, I did. I saved it somewhere. Let's see. I thought I saved it. Anyway, he had something about Jalen Mills, and I can't find it right now. But yeah, no, Jalen Mills has been doing really great. I think that people were kind of worried about him because, he wasn't phenomenal necessarily when he was in Philly, and they weren't really sure about how he was going to do, especially in Gilmore's absence. But I think he's been doing pretty good so far. Let's see. Oh, here it is. It says Jalen Mills only gave up one catch into his coverage on Sunday. It just happened to be on the critical third down. Same story for Mills in week 1, but otherwise he's been solid as a whole. So I like to see that because I know that, I was excited for him. He was an exciting player to watch in Philly for sure. And the fact that he's kind of been under the radar, I think that's okay because he's not been doing anything phenomenal, but nothing horrible either. And I would rather, I'd rather that than be talking about him every week because he's messing up. So, Faisal, he thinks Edelman wants to kick a Mercedes-Benz roof in again. You know what? Let the man live. Let him have fun. He's not hurting anybody, right? Posting his, weekly thirst traps that he does on Instagram. I'm all for it. Lyndon Flowers says media's doing the most with Tom coming back. I hate this week already. Soap opera vibes. I know that, especially with that commercial with Adele music. I was like, oh girl, here we go. And the thing is as corny as that commercial is, and I know for a lot of people who aren't Patriots fans were like sitting there rolling their eyes because it's like, what is this? It's like Patriots fans understand it, and it still got me in the feels. It was like, I don't think I'm emotionally or mentally prepared, maybe not even physically prepared for that game on Sunday night. Like, I'm excited that it's a Sunday night game because, I don't know, it's just like a Sunday night game. But at the same time, I'm not excited about it at all. Like, if I could just skip that game and like pretend it never happened, I would definitely do that. I just think, I don't know. Again, I'm going to talk about that on Sunday. But anyway, I'm going to head out for now. So don't forget to follow me on Twitter. I have it on the screen right there. If you don't already, of course. Send me any questions that you have about Sunday's game. I'll probably send out a tweet as well for that. I want to know what your guys' thoughts are. Hopefully not super negative. It seems like I like the idea of some of these people floating the idea that the game actually won't be a blowout. So if you are someone who doesn't think that, I want to hear about it because I need that type of optimism in my life. So probably go back being live on Saturday, but until then, come chat with me on Twitter, guys. Thanks for all your questions, all of the people who sent them in on Twitter, and then of course in the chat today. And I'll see you guys on Saturday.